Good morning, students. Welcome back to online chemistry classes. As we are on chapter 3, mixtures and their separation. The topic for today in the chapter is technique for the separation of mixture. There are various techniques for the separation of mixtures. So let us begin. Before starting the techniques or discussing the techniques of separation, first, let us discuss difference between compounds and mixtures. In the previous lesson, we have already discussed the properties of pure substances and the properties of mixtures. So over here we will study difference between compounds and mixture, where compounds are representing pure substances. So let us see the differences one by one. Compound. A compound is a pure substance and a mixture is a impure substance. A compound consists of two or more elements combined together chemically, whereas a mixture consists of two or more substances. They may be element, compounds, or both that are not combined chemically. A compound has a definite composition. A mixture has variable composition, that is, the constituent of a mixture can be present in any ratio or proportion. In a compound, the constituents lose their identities, that is, a compound does not show the characteristics of its constituent elements. Whereas in a mixture, the constituents do not lose their identity, that is, a mixture retains the characteristics of its constituents. A compound has fixed melting and boiling points. A mixture does not have a fixed melting or boiling points. In a compound, the constituents can only be separated by chemical means, but the constituents of a mixture can be separated by simple physical means. In the formation of a compound, energy in the form of heat, light, etc. is either absorbed or evolved or released. The formation of a mixture does not involve any change in energy. So all these points I have already discussed in the previous lesson. I have already explained you. So these are the basic differences between compounds and mixtures. Now let us begin with technique of separation of mixture. Why we need to separate mixture? What is the need? We need to separate mixture. First is to remove harmful or undesirable constituent. Now in a mixture there are various constituents present. They are mixed together. Maybe 2 constituent, maybe 3 or maybe 4 constituent. But there are certain constituents which we do not require. So in this case we need to remove those undesirable constituent, and this is the first need for separation of mixture. Like rice, wheat, pulses often contain small stones, husk, etc. as impurities. These undesirable things need to be removed before these food grains are cooked. Now, as we know that rice is a staple food of our country. Before cooking rice, we remove the undesirable constituent from it. What are the undesirable constituent that we do not want? Stones, small stones are present in the rice, or husk is present in the rice. We remove that before cooking the rice, so that we get pure rice to eat. We do not want to eat those undesirable constituents. So to remove harmful or undesirable constituents, we need to separate mixtures. Undesirable substances like oil, sand, clay, salt, microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, and algae are often present in water, which are removed before supplying it to our homes. Similarly, in water, there are many kind of impurities present or undesirable substances present, which we do not want to drink, which we do not want to enter our body. So for that, before the water is supplied to our home, the municipal corporation separates the harmful constituents or undesirable constituents from the water. Second point for need of separation is to obtain a useful substance. Petroleum oil is a mixture of useful substances such as petrol, diesel, and kerosene. These substances need to be separated to be used as fuel. Now, in a mixture, there are many useful constituents also. So, in order to separate those useful constituents, we have to follow the technique or process of separation of mixture. Example, in petroleum oil, there are petrol, diesel, and kerosene present, and all these three forms of petroleum oil we need in our various purposes. So, in order to get all these three fuels, we separate them. The third need of separation of mixture is to obtain the pure form of a substance. Many substances are required in pure form for scientific research, for making medicine, etc. For this purpose, even impurities present in very little amount need to be removed. So, to get a pure form of substances, also we need to separate the undesirable substances from it in order to do the scientific research. So these are the points why we need to separate the constituents of a mixture. Now, methods of separating constituents of solid mixture. Now we will study various methods or various techniques which we can use in order to separate the constituents of a mixture. Today, the techniques that we are going to study are used to separate solid mixture. Solid mixture means both the constituents are solid in nature. So let us see what are the methods. First method or technique is hand picking. As the name is suggesting, hand picking technique is simply just separating the mixtures by picking by a hand. So what is the definition? The method of separating undesirable constituents from a mixture by picking with hands is called hand picking. How is this technique done, or how is this method done, technique of separation? When the constituents of a mixture of solids, where both the constituents are solids, are clearly visible due to the difference in their shape, size, or color, they can be picked up easily. For now, this technique can be followed when you can see the constituent differently by your eyes. You can see the unwanted constituent easily by your eyes, and you can just pick them up by your hand. Example where this technique is applied are: stones and other undesirable substances are separated from food grain such as pulses, wheat, rice, etc. by hand picking. So a simple example where this hand picking technique is followed, you can see in the picture also. The lady is hand picking stone from the rice because we do not want to eat stone. So before cooking rice, we simply follow this method of hand picking. We remove the stone, we remove the husk or any undesirable constituent which is present in the rice, and then we cook it. So this is the first technique, hand picking. Second technique is sieving. What is the definition? The method of separating undesirable constituents from a mixture by using a sieve is called sieving. Now in this sieving method we use a sieve. For example, before kneading the dough for making chapatis, we sieve it. We sieve the flour with the help of a sieve. Technique of separation. How is this technique done? Mixture is shaken on a mesh or a sieve. For this technique we need a instrument or a thing which is called as sieve, which is having mesh on it, which allows the particles smaller than it pores to pass through it, whereas the bigger particles are left behind. Now when we use a sieve, the bigger particles get stuck on the sieve, and the smaller particles which are smaller than the holes on the sieve, they pass through the sieve, and we separate the bigger and smaller particle or useful or unwanted particles with the help of a sieve. Example: a fine sieve is used for separating bran from wheat flour in our kitchen. Second, a bigger sieve is used for separating gravel from sand at construction site. As you can see in the picture, at construction site where the buildings are being constructed, a sieve of this kind is used to separate gravel from the sand. You can see on the other side fine sand is collected, and this side where the man is standing, stone or big stone or gravel are collected on the other side, which can be discarded later, and the sand which is collected on the other side of the sieve can be used for the construction work. So this is a sieve which is having a mesh on it. Third is for separating pearls and diamonds of different size. Now pearls and diamonds of different size are used in making different kinds of jewelry. So in order to separate different sizes of pearls and diamond, again sieving technique is applied. Next technique is winnowing. Now what is the definition? The method of separating undesirable constituents from a mixture by using wind is called winnowing. In this winnowing technique, what thing are we using? We are using wind. Technique of separation. The lighter particles are separated from heavier particles by allowing the mixture to fall from a height. Wind blows the lighter particles to one side and the heavier particles fall on the ground vertically. So example, if we consider the example, the technique will be very much clear with us. As you can see in the picture, a farmer. In this technique, a person has to stand on a height. So in the picture we can see the farmer is standing on a height on a kind of stool or something, and he has taken the mixture of grains which are mixed with husk. Husk we do not want, grain we want. And he is just pouring the mixture of husk and grains from a height, or just throwing the mixture from a height down. What will happen? Because the grain are heavier due to the force of gravity, the grains will fall straight away vertically downwards and will be collected at one place, whereas husk, which we do not want, because of wind, the husk will be carried away by the wind to another place, and it will be separated by the wheat or the grain. So this method is called winnowing, where we use wind to separate the constituents of a mixture. Farmer use this method for separating grain from chaff. They drop the mixture from a height. The lighter chaff is carried away by the wind and fall a little distance away. The heavier grains falls down and form a heap. So that is it. And the last technique for today is magnetic separation. The name is suggesting, it's very clear, separating the constituents by the help of a magnet. The method of separating magnetic constituents from a mixture is called magnetic separation. But this magnetic separation technique can be only used on magnetic substances, means those substances which get attracted towards the magnet. Technique of separation. When a magnet is moved over the mixture, the magnetic substances stick to the magnet and it is separated. Other constituents are left behind. In this technique, simply a magnet is used over the magnetic and non-magnetic constituent, a mixture of magnetic and non-magnetic constituent. And as the magnet moves over, as you can see in the picture, the magnetic substances get stuck to the magnet and they can be easily separated from the non-magnetic substances. Example, in factories, this method is used for removing scrap iron from a heap of waste material by using big electromagnets fitted to the crane. Now, as you can see in the picture, there is a crane which is used for separating the heap of waste material. Now on this crane you can see a circular disc is attached. This circular disc is attached with the electromagnet. What is electromagnet? It is a kind of magnet which works with electricity. When the electric current is passed through it, the circular disc start acting as a magnet. And as the crane move over the heap of the waste, what happens? The magnetic material gets stuck on the electromagnet, and easily with the help of crane, the material or the magnetic material is separated. So this is the technique of magnetic separation. So we have discussed 4 techniques of separation of mixtures today, and these mixtures are solid mixture, remember this. So that is all for today. Thank you students. This chapter will be continued. Do revise the topic, clear your doubts if any, and have a good day.